Well, aloha, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to PWT Talks NXT. I am Kelly Wells. I am your host, and we are talking NXT for April the 22nd, 2025. And I don't want to get maudlin on you, but this is one of my favorite episodes of NXT in a long time. I really thought this was hot throughout. I really am excited by the new directions we're going. I think there are great talents here in the spots where I want to see them. New stories, good scenes, lots of cool stuff happening, and Luca Crucifino dead apparently. So lots going on. Strange for him to be dead when he's kind of one of the centerpieces of Evolve, but I guess we'll get to that. Yeah, I like this one front to back. And it was kind of a weird weekend for me because I thought WrestleMania Saturday was fine, but it didn't feel very WrestleMania-y other than having a lot of people in the crowd. Other than the main event, of course.
And a really cool set.
Yeah. Very. And WrestleMania Sunday had a bad main event, some good matches underneath it, and was, I don't know, occasionally exciting, but the whole Mania experience for me was kind of like, this is the one that was supposed to happen in Minneapolis, and then Vegas swiped it away from us. And then I watched Mania and I was like, well, I guess if we had to lose a Mania, at least it wasn't like WrestleMania 17 or 30 or something. So yeah, I thought it was fine. Ryan Solorio in the chat says, I didn't mind Sunday's main event. LOL. I didn't mind it either. Like, you can't say it was Hogan and Sid out there, or Hogan and Yokozuna out there doing what they did, or even Miz and Cena. But yeah, it wasn't, I don't know. It just felt like the thud after what was already not a very super exciting weekend. Anyway, fast forward to Raw after Mania. I really dug Raw after Mania, and like days that we are going. It was not played for shock. It was played for let's get the new things in place, and I loved it for that. And so was this episode, and man, did I enjoy myself. So I liked it. That's our show, Nate.
Well, all right. See you guys next week.
Thanks for showing up. Yeah, I'm Kelly Wells. Find me on Blue Sky at other Kelly Wells. Nate.
Nate Lindberg. You can check the things I do out at natelindberg.com. Now, I enjoyed the show tonight quite a bit. For a lot of the reasons you said. There's a big, kind of a reset tonight. But just kind of a lot that's intertwining, especially some of it was intertwining with the Raw after Mania, as we saw with Stephanie and Roxanne. Julia and Roxanne, maybe a pairing there of some sort, or an alliance or something. I don't know. But yeah, so far so good. Honestly, I kind of agree with Ryan. I think Stand and Deliver was the best show of the weekend. WrestleMania, it was a good show. Both nights, I think, was a good show. But I don't know. I was talking with Jobin a little bit about it, and I felt like it was actually, no, sorry, it wasn't Jobin. It was Kevin Catania. I was talking with him a little bit about it. And I was saying, like, I thought WrestleMania seemed to be, it wasn't as good as last year's. Like, both nights. I think both nights last year won me over more so than this year. I like the fact that Cena won a 17th title, but there's something about this heel run that I don't mind, but I feel like, I don't know, I almost wanted like the Doctor of Thugonomics back, and I know that's the whole point. Like, he's doing the thing we don't want. I get it. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. I'm on board, I think. But let's get back into NXT.
I'm not. I don't think he should have won that championship. I think that he should have learned that going this dark is not something that will win him a championship. I think this story would have been 1,000 times times better if he chased the championship acting like this and then failed because this isn't how he should have been the whole time. I think it's really bad. And the only thing I thought was worse was Hank and Tank winning the tag team championships. Sorry, gonna dunk on these dudes for a minute. But I think the tag team division on this show is nerfed. They up for 2 months that these guys were total losers. And then the total losers beat everyone else, making them look like total losers. And then they won the championships, making the former championships look like total losers. And now we have nothing but a tag team division of losers. I probably shouldn't be super negative because I love this show, but I think the Hank and Tank storyline, like, I get it on paper, I do, and I get that these guys are lovable doofy. That is more than one doofus. I've decided it's doofy.
I'm gonna go with that. I like it, doofy.
And but I just think they nerfed the whole budding division in order to do it. So whatever. Interesting that Hank and Tank weren't even on this show. Well, they were in the backstage segment. Practically everybody was. The backstage segments acted like an employment program because basically everybody got a little bit of screen time. So yeah, let's talk about the actual show, which I did indeed love. And as far as Ryan saying Stand and Deliver was the best show of the weekend, though, I'd maybe take it over either night of WrestleMania, but I would actually take Raw and tonight's show both over Stand and Deliver.
I would agree with you at least with, well, yeah, actually I think maybe on both counts. Yeah. But we're not part of the weekend. We're in the week. You know why we're not part of the weekend? I worked. We went to work. That's not
true.
Part of the weekend.
I had a very bizarre work day, which would not sound real if I told you exactly the way it happened, but I work for a collectible shop.
So now you have to.
Okay. Before I get to Stephanie Vicaire, which is like literally my favorite subject. Yes, I work for a collectible shop. We buy stuff and we find it everywhere. Long story short, we found one of the greatest collections of vintage movie posters. I am talking early Hollywood downstairs at a pizza place. That happened. So we got a fantastic, I'm talking like $100,000 collection of movie posters below a pizza place. They've been there for 30 years. Now they're ours. Bought them from a family member. So weird stuff. Yeah, Stephanie Vicaire versus Roxanne Perez. This was lovely. 11 minutes, 37 seconds. Could have gone a lot longer, but I like that they leave you wanting more. So not a bad thing there. Vicaire and Perez, just lovely reversals, lovely escapes in this one, and all leading up to, I thought maybe this was going to be another screw job because it's so messy in the main event scene. But I think that Roxy is actually done now. I think it's actually done for her in this brand, and she is going to be full-time. I think that Roxanne is going to be revealed as Bayley's attacker, and I think that is where that's headed. So I think that's what's next for both Bayley and Roxanne. But anyway, Roxy loses. She's not on camera anymore afterwards. So I think they're just getting her out of the way. Julia and then Jordan Grace both looming in the background for your hero and mine, Stephanie Vicaire, who is just looking so much like a star every time out. And they are positioning her like the star of this brand. And I mean, almost even in comparison to Oba. I mean, Oba's there, but and he's a superstar for sure. but they're really pushing hard that Stephanie is going to be the future of this division. And yeah, they got that right. So great stuff. Vaquer over Perez in 11:37. It was by a small margin, the longest match of the night. And Vaquer's still champion, but in the background, she's got both of the women she did not pin in the 4-way hanging out. So on the women's main event scene, Nate.
So I I got to say, I mean, going all the way back to, or not all the way back, there was a lot of wrestling this weekend. So I was say all the way back to Stand and Deliver just a couple days ago. Yeah, I think this has been a great story. Stephanie, I wish she didn't have to relinquish the North American title. I understand why they did it and all of that, but I kind of wanted to see her carry both belts at the same time. That's the only part of the story that I'm like just not a super fan of. Other than that, I think it was a great story. And I think they have a lot of different directions they could go here. Like you said, there's Julia waiting in the wings. There's Jada Parker waiting in the wings. I mean, obviously Roxanne Perez, I agree with you. I think now's the time for her to go up to the main roster. I was also thinking she might be Bayley's attacker too. I think that kind of makes the most sense. Especially they've had a very similar career trajectory. There was a lot of comparisons between Roxanne and Bayley during Roxanne's initial debut. Very similar character. I mean, I know we made comparisons to them on here on the show. Saw other people doing it as well on the internet. And then you're kind of similar, style heel turn into a similar style heel. I think the two of them could work very well together in a program. I know CJ would be super happy to see something like that, and see Bayley in being used correctly. Awesome match. I think this, I don't know. I think there's a lot going on tonight. I don't know what my match of the night was, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it was my match of the night or not. But
What?
I think it was. I'm going back up and down the card right now, and I'm like, yeah, okay, no, it definitely was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's go not to a match, but a real fire segment with the Oba Femi, Trick Williams, and Joe Hendry. We've been a little bit outspoken in how we think that Trick is stepping too close to that heel line. And maybe that isn't the thing, but yeah, that's I think they're getting what they want out of it. And I think they're learning what they want to learn. On the other hand, I'm afraid that when he turns babyface again, that some of those people will be gone. I just don't know. I don't know whether they should have done this or not. Anyway, they did what they did. And Trick is playing that part really well of, as Joe Hendry called him, a little B. Joe Hendry shows up on here, was not expecting him to show up on here. And, but apparently his weekend's not over either, even though he got, really, it was one of the funnier RKOs ever, because doing his turn into the RKO is pretty damn funny. So
it was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it's hard to complain about that. And Triple H told him, apparently, this is not your last WrestleMania. So that's cool.
Well, if you noticed his shirt tonight, it was a WWE Joe Hendry shirt.
Yeah.
So that says something.
Yeah. So very cool there. But this scene, we saw a side of Joe Hendry that they have not been presenting on NXT TV at any rate. He's going hard at Trick here, saying he's not the same guy that he was. Oba Femi's like, hey, not for nothing, I'm wearing a better shirt than any of you have ever worn before. He's just that guy. And Oba, Trick, Joe, it's always three guys, but you almost can't ever complain about it. And I thought the framing just the filming of the end of this was really cool. And like with Trick on the outs, literally on the outside looking in as they do a visual of the storyline they're doing, which is Trick just begging to be in the main event scene, but right now he's not because it's about Joe Hendry and Obafemi, but Trick's trying to kind of whine his way into that spot. But this was your crossover segment, and on a show that had a lot going on, it was one of my favorite segments after the main event, or maybe before the main event. This was really good. At any rate, either 1A or 1B, I don't know. Femi, Williams, Hendry, all very cool. Men's main event scene, Nate, where are you at?
Yeah. But we're overlooking the biggest news. Chase University's back.
Oh boy.
Ryan Solario in the chat saying that, and I had to say it. I'm excited about it. We'll get there. We'll get there later. No, this was a very cool scene. I was excited to see Joe Hendry back here. I thought he had I thought it was a great showing for him at WrestleMania. He's not the same type of a champion as Obafemi is. He's not supposed to be taken seriously and things like that. He's a bit comedy and comedic relief and stuff. So I think him just turning into the RKO and they still had a halfway decent match, like 3 minutes or whatever. He got his moment to shine, and like you said, it's not going to be his last WrestleMania. Triple H said so. Coming into tonight, I really liked the fact that that Joe Hendry pointed these things out about Trick Williams. These are all things that I've been thinking. I think we've all been thinking about Trick Williams over the last handful of years. I meant to say like weeks, months, maybe, not years. He's just, kind of going back and forth. Is he going heel? Is he not? And this kind of finally feels like it might be a heel turn for him. I like the fact that it was Joe and Oba that kind of teamed up and threw him over. I can't I can't really complain. I think this all works. I'm curious to see if Joe Hendry hangs out in this feud or if this was just a one and done thing since he was already in Vegas.
Nate, you know what we haven't seen on NXT in a while?
Murder.
Oh,
right. Stacks 2 times. Or no, 2 times. 2 times.
2 times.
Now Luca.
Stacks he's stacking bodies. This dude.
It ain't money anymore. Stacking bodies.
Yep. He Luca Crucifino. He's one of the linchpins of Evolve as they're starting to talk about championships. Ryan Solorio asking, by the way, did your guys' TV cut out when Trick crashed out in the back? I don't think the TV. Yes, they did a thing to make it look like he cut the feed by attacking some of the. Yeah, that was part of the show. So yeah, Stacks and Luca Crucifino in the desert. I assume Stacks had to kill the cameraman because you can't leave any witnesses. Surprising he even had the conversation with the cameraman there, but he just said, "Do you know why I called you here?" And in the first of 2 simulated F-bombs tonight, Luca goes, "Oh, fuck," and then it cut out, which for me was one of the funniest things they have done on NXT.
It was like watching A Christmas Story.
Yeah. Yes. You could have said fudge. Absolutely. Yeah, this was funny. I thought that both of these guys played their part well. By the way, later in the show, Tony D and Adriana Rizzo have a scene out of a hotel room with Adriana saying she's packing, trying to go home. Tony D saying you can't go home because of what's going on. This was shot with different cameras. This was shot like a movie, which I joke about the cameraman, but they shot this in a way that it looked like Lucha Underground, where it's like, we're supposed to just accept that this is happening without cameras. This is so I'm playing around because, cameramen, but I understand what they were trying to do.
No, Ryan says, what cameramen? They're using invisible cameras. That's
there you go.
Yeah, there we go.
There
Now we've got an explanation.
So anyway, they do these two scenes. I should hate this. I really should, but I don't at all.
I don't either. I kind of love it.
I'm into this. It's very silly, very high concept. If you're going to do this at all, which I don't think you should, you have to go this far, and they are. So they're doing it. And Tony D can kind of act. Adriana's a surprisingly good actor.
I really like her.
Stax is okay, and Luca's pretty good. So they made this scene pop, despite all of the surface silliness, idiocy, whatever you want to say, whatever this should have been. It's working. So very cool stuff here. I think it's going to be revealed that his OFA was relating to something else, and Luca will not be dead because he's clearly somebody on Evolve that they're priming for something bigger. But
not.
I don't know what that is. It's a wonderful hook. Let me just put it that way. So let me throw to you if you have anything more.
So I mean, honestly, I really like the way they're doing this. Like okay, wrestling is telling stories, right? And you think back to how they've done storytelling over the years, backstage segments, and even still in NXT, they do this, but it gets to be, I don't know, just, I guess, old hat. You've got a couple people that run into each other backstage, or in the locker room, or whatever. NXT and WWE in general has kind of done a great job under the new regime, going from segment to segment in one shot, kind of backstage, to show off a couple different different stories and things. But we don't get a whole lot of cinematic stuff like this, and obviously we went through that kind of cinematic era in during the pandemic and whatnot. We got a lot more cinematic content, and it kind of, I think, showed to the average fan that some of that cinematic content can be a lot of fun. And I mean, Firefly Funhouse and things like that. I like it. I obviously don't do it all the time, and there's a time and a place for it. And we had a lot of that then because of what was going on with in the world. But I don't think we need to go to that well all the time now. But in this particular instance, I think it makes a lot of sense. You've got this Godfather-esque stable, and you've kind of played a little cinematic like the Godfather. I think it totally works. As you said, both Tony and Adriana can kind of act. I think Adriana's really good, for what she does. I think it's, she's not going to win an Oscar or anything, but in terms of wrestling acting, I buy into it. I'm curious to see where this goes. I wasn't surprised when Stax turned on the Dawn the other day. Obviously, we saw it coming. I had a feeling it was going to be Stax turning on the Dawn. I know somebody else mentioned maybe it was going to be the other way around. But I'm curious to see where this goes, and what exactly happened to Luca. Is he just tied up? Maybe he was just tied up in the desert and left for dead. But I don't know. Adriana's brother's uncle came across him or something, and it's all good. I don't know. I'm here for it. We'll see what happens.
Adriana might be no Marlon Brando in The Godfather, but she's above Sofia Coppola in Godfather 3. So, there's that. Okay, I could go to a few things. Let's go to our opener. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defending successfully against Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. How fitting that Raquel Rodriguez is on NXT, because she looks like she should still be there. Sorry, but she just had some problems in this match. Raquel did, just catching wrestlers, spacing, just Raquel came in as like a 5 out of 10, and 5 years later she's a 5 out of 10. Whatever. Liv pins Gigi after Oblivion in 11:28. It was a pretty okay match. When Liv was in there against either Gigi or Tatum, it was pretty good. When Raquel was in there, it was a match. So apparently this isn't over. Liv and Raquel, of course, win this. We knew that they would. And but later on, they showed up when Zaruka were being interviewed, and Sol Ruka is a double champ right now. And they mentioned that, but they didn't actually mention what the other championship was. So I think probably a lot of people forgot that she was speed champion or don't know that the speed championship exists. I had to look. But anyway, that was it. So, and she's not even holding her other belt. So it's even weirder because there's no visual there, because there is no speed belt.
And
she's
then
champion.
And then as Corey's about to explain it, Vic cuts him off. And like they never actually mentioned the speed title at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. But it looks like they're going to be down here for at least one more match against Sol and Zarya. A match that might exist for the purpose of splitting up Sol and Zarya and having Zarya chased after Sol's newfound championship. So this could be to get there, because we know that NXT teams can win the tag team championship. We also know that they probably won't. So could happen, but I'm going to say unlikely. But anyway, Liv and Raquel, they were in the opener, and it looks like they're going to hang around for a little bit longer, Nate.
Yeah, it does. It does look like that. You know, we'll obviously see, you know, kind of where that winds up. I would really like to, I don't know, Zarya and Sol Ruka as tag team champions. I could buy that, especially where the tag champions can, you know, the women's tag champions kind of float around every show. Sol Ruka and Zarya are both. I feel like they're almost main roster ready, if not main roster ready. Zarya coming in, I feel like almost packaged, ready to go. Although, and we've talked about it, there are some inconsistencies with her character that I do not like. For the most part, I think she could be a character that's packaged to go up to the main roster. So you kind of bring them up and you know, have them with a few different feuds with a couple different tag teams on the main roster. You know, get back, maybe even, you know, I was going to say Becky and Lyra, but I forgot Becky and Lyra. Becky turned on Lyra. But still, you know, you have them in some main roster, you know, feuds and whatnot. It gets some more eyeballs on the product, but it also is a good way to introduce these two to the main roster when they do inevitably get that call up, whether this is that call up for them or not. I don't think that's going to actually happen. You know, as Kelly said, you know, there's the possibility for them to win the titles, but you know, how often do we think an NXT team's actually going to beat a main roster team? Not super often. Probably very infrequently. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But that said, this match, I enjoyed it. Like you said, Raquel certainly had a couple of moments here. I gotta admit, Gigi Dolan, a few times here, she really impressed me. I feel like since coming back, she's really stepped up her game.
She's energized, man. Yes, yeah, she absolutely is. I'm thinking the same thing. I like her babyface fire in there.
She looked like a veteran of it. There was actually one point where Gigi and Raquel were touching in the ring. I don't remember exactly what was going on, but I remember thinking to myself, like, Raquel's on the main roster, but Gigi is the one in my mind that looks like the veteran right now. So yeah, I just want to give her credit where credit is due. I really liked it, but where was Shotzi? We didn't see Shotzi tonight.
We didn't. I don't think they
Yeah,
can decide if they want her in that group or if they want to release her.
yeah, because she wasn't there over the weekend either, but she was there the last time they were on TV. I don't know. I
Yeah.
really like Shotzi's part of this pairing. This, make this a trio. I think she adds a lot to them, and she's not doing anything on main roster. So
Yeah. Well, Nate, the son of Flying Brian did a scene with Penn and Teller.
yeah,
That's a sentence I didn't think that I would ever say.
and I kind of love it.
It did happen, and what a weird thing this was. Let's talk about Lexus King because he was all the hell over this show. Penn and Teller said they would give Lexus King his Heritage Cup back that they stole through Magic as long as he announced that Magic was real and he agreed to defend a championship. This is a real scene that really happened on a show that I watch on purpose.
You saw the segment during Stand and Deliver, right?
I did. Yep.
Okay. All right.
So they had taken it then, but it's just so. If this was any other art form, I would just say, get this away from me. But it's wrestling, so just so give me all of it. So that happened. Then Ricky Saints had a scene with Lexus King talking about having a match for both of their belts before his matches even happened, which Saints brings up. I thought it was very interesting that they did this in the order they did. Then they have Lexus King come out to defend his championship right after this. Loses to Noam Dar in 401. Weird enough, because we didn't know that Noam Dar was coming back. In the back of my mind, I knew that it had to be sometime. He has been gone for a long time because when he was going to be the challenger for Trick Williams, it ended up being Ethan Page who won the championship there, which seems like a long time ago. But Noam Dar comes back, wins his Heritage Cup championship in 4 minutes and 1 second with a back elbow. That's what won him the championship. So Lexus, all the time they gave him, and he loses this with a back elbow, whatever. And then later on, still attacks Ricky Saints during his mic time where Ricky Saints is trying to talk to Ethan Page. So Saints, Page, King jumping from AEW to NXT, still can't get away from each other. They are all totally linked. So on the weird ride of Lexus King and on Noam Dar trying to lick away his facial hair, Nate.
Yeah, that's not something I was thinking, but that I think I was going to be thinking about tonight. But we're there. We're there. It does look like you could like lick it off or what? Like it doesn't look like real facial hair. This is real facial hair. Okay, I'm just saying. Yeah, anyway, I just that got me thrown off. So Penn and Teller, I absolutely love Penn and Teller. I actually am a big fan of Magic. I've got a few tricks that I'm trying to learn myself. Someday I would like to actually put together a Magic act. I'm working on it, believe it or not. I like Penn and Teller. I like Penn Jillette. He's one of my heroes to the point where I actually adopted his finger nail polish on one finger for a couple reasons. He does it for his mother. I do it for a different reason, but I like it. So seeing him kind of involved in the wrestling world is not something I expected. Matter of fact, our good friend Tom Staup pointed this out over the weekend, and I had the same thought because Tom sent a text to both Kelly and I. Penn and Teller, Penn Jillette himself, he's never understood wrestling. He's actually come out and said like he doesn't get wrestling. I think the only reason they did this crossover is because they're in Vegas and they're both WWE as well as Penn and Teller Fool Us are both on the CW. So it makes sense to do that crossover for the CW.
You and Tom and I all like Penn and Teller, but it is freaking bonkers that he of all people does not get pro wrestling. It is bonkers.
It really is. And I'm wondering, I would love to hear his perspective after being in it, like after doing this and seeing if it's any different, because he is somebody that I could totally, like you said, it makes sense that he would understand it. He's a showman. He's an entertainer. He's a carny.
He
It's
is.
how he started.
He's also kind of a narcissist, and that's
Yeah, a
like
little bit.
it's no fun to listen to him when he's just being himself in interviews. I'm like, just do your act. Because I love his act, but he's a lot when he's just being Pendulette guy
He can
being
be, yeah.
interviewed. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like
no.
Tom, I know, has
Listening to
very,
his
very fraught. Yeah. Tom can't
podcast.
stand him, but loves his act.
Yeah.
He's very, very, yeah. Mm-hmm. Ryan Solorio said, did you call the cup a belt? LOL. Did I do that?
You did. And I responded, you did.
All right. I'm going to go straight to hell. Sorry, guys. That was me. What's in the glass?
You mean in the belt?
Yes. What's in the belt?
Okay. See what I did there?
So, yes, I did. Well done. Did we cover Lexus King? Did we cover Ricky Saints and Ethan Page? Any more on that?
No, I mean, I haven't really talked about it at all. Although I don't know what more I really have to add. I like where this is going. Actually, I guess I did talk a little bit about it, but I do like where this is going. I think Ricky Saints, as the champion, I think it's kind of a perfect spot for him right now. He came in with enough clout where I don't mind him having the belt right now. I don't think I could say that for absolutely everybody, where you just come in, boom, have a championship. But I think it works for him, and the fact, obviously, that they were all intertwined. They're all intertwined because they're AEW guys. I think in a way is kind of smart. Some people might not think so. I think it is, because if you can show off, that you're giving a better story than what AEW did. I mean, maybe you do get a few people that maybe watch your product over AEW, or maybe you get people that are AEW fans that are like, all right, what are they doing over here? I don't think it's going to really move the needle too much, but I don't think it's a bad decision, put them together. And as far as I'm aware, I think they're all friends, so like, and pretty friendly. So like, they probably know each other pretty well to be able to deliver some fun TV for us.
Sol Ruka, Zarya, Hank Walker, Tank Ledger, Thea Hill, Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, Fallon Henley, Jasmine Nix, and JC Jane all in one scene. Nate, let's review our cast. They just wanted to get everybody on the show. Mostly that scene existed to get us to Thea Hale versus Fallon Henley. Why not? Thea's still essentially the same character, and I would assume is going to be back in Chase U, which
I don't know.
We'll talk about. I think that I don't want to say mercy killing, because Chase U's been a lot of fun, but I don't know that Thea needs that anymore and needs Chase U to be relevant.
Well, if you recall, I think it was last week. I think it was last week. She walked up to, when she returned. It was whenever she returned. Yeah, it was last week or the week before, whatever it was. She returned. She walked up to Andre Chase and those two other guys. Uriah.
Cale Dixon and Uriah Connors.
Thank you. I'm never going to be able to remember their names until they actually do something worthwhile.
For the second week in a row, I'm going to say I can't believe I had no trouble with that. But I do write it down, and writing it down physically helps me a lot.
I'm sure it would with me too if I was. But no, she said to them that she wouldn't be joining Chase U, but she's a proud alumni.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see her back in Chase U. She might be aligned with them when they need a partner, but I don't think we'll see her back in the new class, as Goodfella said in the chat. We need a new class.
I am watching all of Evolve. I have seen all of it so far. Stevie Turner is the GM as of like episode 3 or 4, and by the way, in her first time out was 1,000 times better than Ava. Sorry, it is just factual. But there are a number of women on Evolve that I could see being part of that group. I'm going to say Carly Bright. Carly Bright is going to be called up and placed into Chase U. You could do it with I have forgot her name. Who was it who ran with Idris Nofe and Malik Blade?
I
I feel
don't
bad.
remember.
I should have her name because she's been semi-focused on, and I like her, and I can't think of it. Somebody help me out in the chat. Whatever. I mean, her face is there, and I like her. Her name might start with an H, but it might not because there are 25 other letters, and they're all great.
Brinley Reese.
Brinley Reese does not start with an H at all. It doesn't. It just doesn't. So, Kylie Ray, yes, good fella. The only other person I was going to mention is Kylie Ray. She could be as well. And she's been around wrestling for a while. So if they want to go young, they'll go with Brinley or Carly. Selfishly, I want Carly, the Minnesota girl, to go, but whatever. I think they will. I don't know. I don't see an ending for Andre Chase in NXT. I really don't. But okay, maybe he can deal with that. 2 minutes and 26 seconds. Thea Hale defeats Fallon Henley with the Kimura lock. And it seems like they are finding a way to get Fallon Henley away from the group, which she is essentially the leader of. So she had her moment with JC Jane, who is about to job to Rosemary on TNA Impact. But yeah, Fatal Influence never wins. So, I mean, what good is a faction if they have numbers and still never win? I guess whatever. So Thea over Fallon. Love Thea. Glad she's back. And talk to me about it.
Sure. I'll talk to you about Thea Hale all day. I'm so glad she's back. You know, she was such a great focal point in Chase U. She knew her character from the moment she came in, into the company. And I mean, she came in straight out of high school, super, super, super young. I mean, she's become a pretty good wrestler. I think she's still got a little bit to go in the ring, but she's getting there. And again, she's young. She's got plenty of time. Absolutely plenty of time. And it honestly, it's not her in ring that is going to make her popular. It's her charisma. When she turns heel, something's going to really click. And I think when she finally inevitably turns face again, we might be seeing something big there. She's got plenty of time to shine. And I think right now they're kind of testing the waters with her, what she's going to see, what she's going to be able to do as a singles competitor. I don't think she's going to be going back to Chase U, like I just said. So I think this is going to be kind of her time. I don't think we're going to see her up in, the NXT women's title scene anytime soon, but I could see her going for the North American title, maybe trying for the WWE tag titles if she can find a tag team partner, but somewhere around there. And then eventually someday, maybe in the main event scene. But I really like what they're doing so far with her. Fallon Henley, as you said, she's the best part of Fatal Attraction. In Fatal Attraction, this is how I always remember it. It's Fallon Henley, JC,
Fatal Attraction's a movie.
Fatal Attraction's a movie. See, I still can't. It's been how many months? That's why you don't name it Fatal Influence. It was a terrible name from the get-go. Anyway, this is how I remember the people in Fatal Influence. It's Fallon Henley, JC Jane, and the other one. When you've got JC Jane who in the faction, and there's nothing against JC Jane, but she's never been able to really get over. and she's been here for a while. She's been in a number of factions, and you largely forget about her until she's on the screen. And I hate to say it, but that's kind of been the deal with her. And Jasmine Nix, she's improved quite a bit, but again, same thing. She's never really given a moment to shine. She's either taking a loss or she seems like she's she's definitely seems like the third wheel of the faction. And then obviously, you get Fallon Henley, who has talent and is certainly the standout. So she doesn't need the other two anymore. Break her away. Let her do her own thing. What the other two do from here, I don't know. JC, I hate to say cutter, but I don't know what more she's going to be able to bring to the table. And when I say cutter, I really don't mean for that to sound bad, because like, think about how many times somebody like Matt Cardona, right? They get cut, and now biggest indie star. Sometimes getting cut is what they need, and I feel like JCJ needs something like that. She needs something big to happen to, and I don't want to say anybody lose their livelihood or whatever, but I don't know. She there's just something that is not working for that character. And I'd love to see a reset for her. In
I'll
some
just
way.
say that the main roster needs some job girls, and she can be that. She
can
have a perfectly decent 3-4 minute match and lose, and that's fine. I don't think her ceiling is much higher than that. So yeah, that's what I got for JC. Would have liked to see her further along at this point, but she's not. Okay. GCW Bloodsport. Wouldn't you know it? Tavian Heights and Charlie Dempsey were there. That's crazy that they were at this show, and not only at it, but they showed it.
So is Natty.
Oh my God, was she?
She did Bloodsport, or I read that she was doing it. I'm assuming it happened.
I often watch the Bloodsport show, but I didn't see it this year. There's still time, of course, but I haven't seen it. So yes, we had a scene with Miles Bourne, who was asked by Ren Sinclair why he wasn't there, and he said, "Well, I wasn't asked." And they have a scene with Dark State that said, "Bloodsport, you can do no Bloodsport." Javon Evans shows up, rounds out the cast in this scene, and we get the very bizarre match of Javon Evans and Miles Bourne versus Dark State, 957. This was a really fun match. Javon Evans is just a great pinball in there. He's so good at ragdolling for his opponents, which is going to be what he's asked to do for as long as he's as slim as he is and as much of a high flyer as he is. I mean, I haven't enjoyed somebody selling this much since like Shawn Michaels and Mr. Perfect. I really haven't. Just love it. But he and Miles Bourne, Miles getting a couple of hot tags. Evans really got his ass kicked throughout this match. And I think this match was primarily to get over Miles Bourne a little bit more and to give him something to sink his teeth into. Dark State, in this case, Dion Lennox and Osiris Griffin, they won with a double, let's say, choke slam, because I couldn't remember, so that's what I wrote. 957, Osiris pins Miles Bourne. Dark State still undefeated, still don't know who's going to wrestle at any given time. And, they're fine. You would like a really intended big time faction to be further along than this, but I think they're doing okay. And at any rate, I like what they're doing with Miles Bourne, and then we had Tavian and Charlie standing up at the top of the ramp, watching with interest, but we didn't get any more on that yet. So that is the only match we hadn't talked about, but we got a little bit after that. So go ahead on that match.
I kind of okay. So I liked the match. It was fun. Nothing really to write home about. Traditional tag team match type of deal. Um, there's a few things I like, few things I don't like about what's going on here. But before I get into that, did did you hear when they were talking about Osiris almost getting his fingers amputated when he got thrown through that wall?
I apparently did not hear that particular part
Okay,
of the commentary.
I thought they were a picture to picture. So I've been watching NXT on Netflix. Again, if you have a VPN, just say you're in Canada or something, and you can watch everything WWE on Netflix. And so I'm watching it on Netflix. When it goes to picture in picture on the CW, it stays with the commentators. And I was pretty sure that they were talking about this. And the reason I asked, I want to confirm that this might be the case. But Corey Graves started talking about when Osiris got thrown through the wall a couple weeks ago. I forget by who. His two middle fingers almost got torn off, and you could actually see everything all taped up, and he was obviously favoring that hand a bit. But yeah, almost lost his two fingers at that point. It showed up for Stand and Deliver, showed up for tonight. You'd never really even know it. So yeah, props to him for doing that, and I hope everything heals swimmingly, because you don't ever want to hear somebody getting their digits torn off. That's terrible. Then let's see. With okay, so here's what I do like. I do like what they're doing with Miles Bourne. They're Miles hasn't really had any time to shine on his own. He's felt kind of like in the background of NQCC for me anyway. But I think a lot, I don't know if a lot of that is he doesn't want to talk, or they weren't ready for him to talk, or whatever. Due to him being deaf. Um, but I think now, sure, go ahead, do it. He seems to have the charisma. He's able to to cut a promo against somebody, as we saw tonight. So why not? Let's give him a little bit more character development, and something for him to sink his teeth into. I'm totally on board with that. Give him a little bit more character. And it obviously just kind of helped to flesh out the NQCC or the Ren QCC, depending on if you're a Ren Sinclair fan or not. The thing that I didn't like about this is I feel like this. Okay, Dark State, they've just been showing up. They don't care to talk and mince some words. They just show up and they beat people down. And now we're expected to believe that they're just going to walk up to Miles Bourne backstage and kind of bully him a little bit and then make a match. I don't know. It felt weird to me. Like, why aren't they just attacking him? That's all we've seen them do so far. It just, I don't know, if you're going to have them talk, maybe do something a bit more than just kind of like high school bullying. It seemed a little strange. That's what I didn't like. I feel like it took a little bit of that mystique and that kind of power balance away from Dark State, to me anyway. Once you get them in the ring, a completely different story. But that segment, I didn't like it for that reason. I liked it for Miles Bourne, for what it did for Miles Bourne, but I did not like what it did for Dark State, at least in my mind.
Got a couple questions in the chat before I move on to the next thing. CJ LaChapelle says, how long do we expect Bayley to be off TV? I'm going to say a couple of weeks. Here's what I see happening. I think very soon, like either this Friday or Monday, whatever, Roxy makes her debut. And a couple of weeks, she's all out there. She's all cocky, whatever. And then a couple of weeks from now, 2, 3, 4, she's introduced and she is attacked on the ramp before her match, which we don't even know her opponent because there isn't really one. And Bayley attacks her because she's the one who attacked Bayley and took her away from her championship match. That is what I think is going to happen. And Goodfella says, do you think Lola is ready for a call up? Oh my God, no. I don't think Lola's super ready to be a major player on NXT. And I think that is why, at least in part, she's been off. I think the I'm a Latina thing is, as she shakes her booty, is, I think it's indie. I just think that it gets old right away. And I don't think she's okay on the mic, but no great shakes. She's okay in the ring, but no great shakes. I mean, if they think she's going to get no better, then by all means put her up there. But I think right now, the best she can look at if they move her up is like a Zoe Stark type of.
I think something that they could do with her too is they obviously just acquired AAA. And there's a lot. I think we've got Worlds Collide coming up. I forget exactly when the date was for that, but they announced Worlds Collide between AAA and WWE and NXT. They actually had the NXT logo there on the Worlds Collide logo. And with the crossover with TNA, maybe we even see some TNA talent on Worlds Collide. This could be a weird show. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, when we get there. But with them now acquiring AAA, Lola Vice does have some name value. Maybe she gets involved with something and some sort of a faction or something that they're doing with AAA.
And then CJ just asks, have you ever boycotted WWE? I've not watched a single match since SmackDown because of what they did to Bayley. You missed a lot of good stuff. No, I would not boycott any show because of something that happened to one character on the show, no matter how much I love them. None. And I love Bayley. I have since she showed up, and she had her ups and downs in NXT early on. But it became quickly one of my favorites. And no, I've never boycotted WWE, but I mean, I didn't watch it very much for like 8 or 10 years because it wasn't good.
Yeah,
it
kind of sucked for a really long time.
The storylines were inconsistent. It just totally passed Vince by, and he was still trying to do things like he had during a time when he could, and no longer had the chops to do it. So I wasn't boycotting. I just didn't watch because I didn't think it was good. And CJ says, last question, am I being weird? LOL. Dude, we watch wrestling. We are all
weird. I was going to say, yes, you are, but we're all weird. So it's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So Battleground, it's on May 25th in Tampa. So there you go. That's all I got to say about that. I would love to go and hang out with Tom, and I recently came into some money, and but I'm not going to be able to do that because I will be with family that weekend. Oh God, of course it's that weekend. Anyway, Ava was only in one scene. That's cool. Sean Spears was in there. He was on screen for, I don't know, 5 seconds. And Yoshiki Inamura basically turned on the waterworks to trick Ava into giving him a championship match.
I love
Ava
that.
has been shown to be easily led a couple of times. So
Japanese secret. I loved it.
Yeah, it's Japanese secret. So Inamura and Briggs have a championship match next week. I honestly think the right thing is for them to win. I really do. I just think that great that Hank and Tank got their moment, but the Bushwhackers were never champions for a reason. And these guys are great bushwhackers. And I think that that's what they got to look forward to. And Otis and Tozawa have never been champions, unless they have, because Vince was like, let's give everybody a run at some point. So yeah, I think there's a chance that they could win the championships. A lot of championship changing hands here in the last week in this company, but this is the week that kind of thing happens. So okay. Ryan, thank you, saying they haven't. I didn't think so, but I was tuned out for some of their run, so I didn't know if they had won or not. But
I was like 95% sure they hadn't, so I'm glad.
Me too. But I've been watching main roster regularly for about a year and a half now. Oh my God, has it been that long? Seems like it just started, but I don't know. I've been doing everything else.
WrestleMania 40 seems like it was like a week ago, and we just had 41. So, yeah, I don't know.
And Solorio says Otis and Chad did that. I actually did remember. Good fella bringing up Akira Tozawa has won a total of 17 championships in WWE, 1 Cruiserweight championship, and 16 24 championships. 24/7 championships, LOL. Yeah, 17 championships, none of them belonging to championships that still exist. Maybe he's got some European championships that we don't know about too, to take you back to being my age. So I don't know. I think that's our show, which is too bad because it's been fun and it was a really, really good episode. Katani didn't email us, so I don't know what the heck his deal is, but he's been here backing up us for quite a while. So that's been great. Kevin, thank you so much for helping me through the stuff I was going through. I don't know if we talked about that, but I've been going through some stuff and it was not easy to be here. And it's great to be back to who I am and to be back here talking wrestling at a really cool time for this brand. So very cool.
You've seemed like your old self tonight.
Oh, I felt like my old self tonight. So
I'm glad to see it, man. I'm glad to see it.
Glad to hear that. CJ says, thumbs up the show. Everyone go VIP. I'm down with that. And Goodfella says, welcome back. Thank you very much. Glad to be back and hopefully don't have a lot of things going on Tuesdays in the coming weeks. But oh my God, what a crazy couple of weeks it was. So there you go. If you take away nothing else, just remember I spent all day lugging stuff from downstairs in a pizza place to a large van. That was my day. That's what you need to take away from this podcast.
Yep. I did some vacuuming and I worked. Took the dog out. That was my day. Yeah, I'm Nate Lindberg, and I check out what I do at natelindberg.com and here on the PWTorch and stuff.
Ryan Slorio hits us with one more horseshoe mention in the chat, which reminds me why I love this chat so much. Cheers. I'm Kelly Wells. You can find me on Blue Sky at Other Kelly Wells. And with any luck, the two of us will see you in 7. Cheers.
Peace.